In this video, I want to cover the concept of record level locking, which is an important concept when you're rolling out a multi-user solution. And of course, we're talking about a FileMaker file or set of files that you've loaded on FileMaker Server or FileMaker Cloud. Now, of course, when you have a multi-user solution, you're going to have 5, 10, 20, 100, 200 people accessing that solution at one time. And of course, FileMaker Server and FileMaker Cloud handle that very well. The FileMaker platform is designed for this sort of collaborative effort. Each user can access different sets of records. They can be on different layouts. They can have different finds, different sorts. For example, if user A wants to have a found set of everyone with the last name of Smith and then sort by first name, and user B wants to be looking at something else, that is handled totally independently. Each user never interferes or interacts with the other users, other than to see any new records that are created or edited records that are created. And that's where it gets interesting. Only one person can edit a record at one time. So while all the users can view the record at the same time, only one person can be editing the record. And of course, if you think about this, it makes sense. If you have two people editing the same screen, the same record of information, how does FileMaker know which record is the important record to keep? Well, it doesn't. And this is not really a FileMaker issue. This is an issue with all database systems. But FileMaker makes it very easy to manage. And that's called record level locking or record locking. And so the idea is that as a user clicks into a field and begins to edit the information, FileMaker will lock the record. Now, visually, you can't tell it's locked, other than the fact that you can edit the record. Now, if you're editing a record and then someone else tries to edit the same record with Go or Pro or WebDirect, it doesn't matter, they will get an error. That error message will say something to the fact that you're unable to complete this task because user A or B or whoever it is editing the record, right? And so you need to contact that person to get them to save the record and exit the record so it releases the record so you can edit it, right? So only one person can lock the record at a time. FileMaker tracks that lock, which also means that if you try to click into a field to edit it, as your client will ask FileMaker, hey, is this record available? And can I lock it myself? And if it's not been locked by someone else, then FileMaker makes a note that you're editing it and no one else can, which means you have the lock. Now, of course, if you flip layouts or flip to another record, or you click out on the side of the layout where there's no fields or no buttons, that actually causes FileMaker to commit the record, which sends the data all back to the server to be saved. It also releases the lock at that time. Make sense? So obviously, if you're editing record A, and then you use the scroll control to flip to record B, it's going to save the changes on record A and release the lock, and then you're going to go to record B. And if you click in a field, then you would lock that separate record. Now keep in mind, depending upon the workflow of the business solution and what those users are doing, the users may never run into each other, or they might run into each other all the time. Say, for example, if you have 10 important customers and you have 100 employees that are calling those 10 customers. Now that would make very little sense, but hypothetically say that you had 10 salespeople, then 10 customer service people, then 10 fulfillment people. They're all trying to manage these 10 users. There may be a lot of record locking conflicts between these users because only one person can edit the data at a time. Everyone can view it at the same time, but only one person can edit it. So that is the concept of record locking. Now keep in mind, in another video, we talk about how to trap for this condition if you're writing a script. Because otherwise you could write a script that would assume it would set the information and the script completes and you think it's done the job, but it was never able to get the record lock and make the edits because someone else in the company had already locked the record because they were making their own edit. So FileMaker at a basic level handles this for you automatically, and you can see that on screen. However, if you're writing scripts where you're doing a lot of set field commands, things like that, you're going to want to test to make sure that you have access to the record and you can lock it before you go through the process of editing the record, right? Makes sense? Because I've even seen scripts in the last week or two where people assume that no one else would ever lock the record. I'm the only person here. And then the business gets busy and more people use it. Then suddenly someone runs a script. That script always assumes that it always has access to a record, but then someone else across the country has locked it and that script can't complete properly. Or it assumes it's completed. It reports back to you, yes, it's completed. But in reality, it has not done a complete job because it was unable to edit one or more of the records. So this record locking issue is nothing to panic about, but it is something that has to be managed in a modern database system. Once again, this goes for Oracle, SQL, any sort of relational database system where the data is being shared in real time amongst multiple users.